I hope you like this. Namaste. Welcome to the YouTube channel Becoming Conscious Being, an online platform for mental health and well-being. For that, today we have Aprameya Rajput with us. He's a clinical sleep coach. And hi, Aprameya. Welcome and thank you for giving your time here. What intrigued me a lot, like when I kind of contacted you and got to know about you and your organization, Morpheus, is also because for me, also being in the healthcare sector, I know people kind of, being mindful of their sleep or having these disturbances, but not really going for help as such, or, while they do passive research and kind of use techniques, but to really go to an expert or have an expert in the field was something very interesting to me. And I felt I had not met a clinical sleep coach before. So could you tell me a little bit about how you came into the field?
Hi, Purvi. Thanks for inviting me. I think my first touch with the subject was now nearly 15 years ago, which was back when I was completing my engineering. And I stumbled upon a project with Philips Healthcare. And they were working on some diagnostic tools which could be used in diagnosing people with sleep disorders. And that was my thesis project actually for 6 months. And then I found the subject really interesting, and from a medical standpoint as well as from a engineering standpoint, it was very interesting to see the different changes which occur in the body during sleep and how it affects an individual. And I mean, like many people do not consciously think about their sleep. Prior to that, even I wouldn't. And what changed for me was that, hey, I mean, we spend so much of our lives sleeping, and there is so much happening inside us which we are unaware of, that this has a major significance which probably mankind has ignored. And
Hmm.
that's what the research itself has shown in the last maybe 3 to 4 decades, ever since medical technology has improved a little bit more, that there is more to sleep than just switching off at night. Then, of course, I started Morpheus nearly 10, 11 years ago now. And it's been a great journey thus far. We've helped more than 15,000 patients with sleep disorders. We partnered with a lot of corporate hospitals. We are primarily based in Delhi NCR, but
Hmm.
we provide services for diagnostics as well as treatment options for all sorts of sleep disorders. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Is a lot more regarding the disturbances and disorders related to sleep. But again, like you said, that has been there for a very long time. It's now that we've started tracking it, noticing how it affects our other aspects of health as well.
Well, I would say that technology has even ruined our sleep in a lot of ways. Like, like our lives, how they especially all the time.
Hmm.
And the stimuli which we keep on getting during the course of the day make it
Hmm.
difficult for us to fall asleep at night. But at the same time, the flip side is that technology is what can help us improve our sleep too, right? I mean, all these
Hmm.
wearables like your Apple Watches, Garmin watches, Fitbits, rings, and so many other trackers which have come up of late, they've started giving insights about your sleep quality. And that's what have made a lot of people conscious about their sleep. Like nobody
Hmm.
was really thinking about how well you're sleeping. It was simply like, hey, I slept last night, I slept for 4 hours, 6 hours, or I got less sleep. But that
Hmm.
was just the quantity side of things. From qualitative side of things, that okay, was that 4 hour sleep or was that 6 hour sleep actually completely restful? Did I
Hmm.
complete, the functions which were supposed to be done during sleep? So that sort of thinking has started to develop now once we've dove deep into the subject. And these
Hmm.
technological tools are now giving us these insights. So yes, awareness around the subject is improving because of
Hmm.
technology, but possibly the sleep has gotten ruined because of technology too.
Yeah, and has the also the likelihood of people actually reaching out to you or other professionals to work on their sleep, has that you've seen a change there also?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, you see, it is common knowledge that okay, something's wrong with your heart, you go to a cardiologist. You
Hmm.
find it difficult to breathe, go to a pulmonologist. You have sneezing, you have a sore throat, you go to an ENT specialist. Prior to maybe even the pandemic, a lot of people did not know whom to turn to if you have bad sleep.
Hmm.
And during the pandemic, a lot of people were exposed to large and elongated periods of poor sleep. And a lot
Hmm.
of articles have come up in this space in the last 2, 3 years as well. So we are seeing awareness is growing. We are seeing a lot of people are now aware of words like somnologists. Somnologists are sleep specialists, and we've started to see certain doctors specializing in this domain and purely practicing this field of medicine. Similarly, sleep
Hmm.
clinics as an entity have now started into being. Like when we started Morpheus 11 years ago, there were literally a handful of such clinics pan India.
Like you said, right? It's so interconnected, everything with sleep, that even when people who come to my practice and what I see around me is that, for example, when their sleep is affected, it really affects the next day, their mood swings, their frustration levels, their attentiveness, and chronically also when that kind of lingers, the sleep disturbances, it really kind of affects your mental health, your capacity of functioning, and then that and also then affects your self-esteem. It also affects your digestion and physiology a lot as well. That, for example, if I'm working with their mental health, I do see how that, as a vicious cycle, affects their sleep or their eating style, and that again starts affecting their mental health because focus is lesser, because
Correct.
they're groggy. Yeah.
It's like a it's like a two-way relationship with mental health, like poor sleep leads to poor mental health, and poor mental health leads to poor sleep. So,
Yeah.
how, let me just briefly talk about how poor sleep can affect your mental health. So, and you can obviously fill in on the flip side of the argument as well. See, during sleep, one of the major things which you are doing for your body is physical rest. So, all your muscles which you are using throughout the day are in a relaxed state during sleep, and their muscle fibers which are breaking down, the cellular tissues which are breaking down, they're all rejuvenating, all recovering
Hmm.
during sleep. So that's the physical side of things which most of us are aware of. But from a mental side of things, think of it this way, that we are bombarding ourselves with stimuli
Hmm.
throughout the day, which is coming in from our conversations with our friends and family members, the content
Hmm.
which we are seeing on television, on mobile screens, on
Hmm.
hoardings as we're walking out of the house, everything. We have all the stresses around the world, which is from financial stress, education stress, relationship stress, so many other things, right? And sleep for us is something meant to reverse all of this, something meant to
Hmm.
control all of this. From a mental, from a medical point of view, we understand that okay, the cortisol levels are
Hmm.
reducing when we sleep, and how the hormonal changes occur. But for a layman to understand, it's how I explain it, it's like a computer. So if you
Hmm.
run a computer in day out every single day for hours at stretch, it heats up. It's like an equipment, it
Hmm.
heats up, it breaks down. But if you switch off a computer and you start it again, all the programs which were running, they get turned off and the computer starts to work fast again. So our
Hmm.
body and our mind is like that. Sleep is like a reset button. Every time you sleep and you wake up, all the hardships which you'd faced, all the stressors which you were carrying, these sort of go away, and it gives your
Hmm.
mind a chance to start again at a fresher pace. But if you are struggling with poor sleep and for days together, uh, all of these things start to accumulate, and
Hmm.
the mind starts to get overwhelmed with all the stressors which you are carrying, and
Hmm.
eventually it leads to breakdown, and it can manifest in different ways, and we see a high correlation of mental disorders with poor sleep. So for me, that's what it is. Like, the mind has an ability to function at its optimal level only for a set period of time, and then it needs to reset. So if you're
Hmm.
not getting good sleep, you're not giving it that reset button which is needed from time to time. But love to hear your thoughts, on this as well.
Definitely, like you said, it's like that reset button. And when that chronically you're not able to use that reset button, maybe there's deadlines coming up, other job stresses or life stresses. Definitely, without that reset button, it really burns you out a lot. And that burnout is not something you'll only see affecting you, but affecting your interactions with other
Correct.
people, affecting your relationships around you. And then that again comes back to how you are viewing yourself, your quality of life in general, right? And affects your eating also.
Correct. If you've not slept well, you're going to pick a fight with any person. The slightest things which don't go right, you're probably going to get
Hmm.
overwhelmed with that. Right. So these are little things, but when they add up, of course, they bring about a tremendous change in your quality of life as well as your interactions with the people around you.
Definitely. And something I've noticed, especially in the elderly, is also that because they have so many other physiological concerns, which really makes it difficult for them to kind of sleep or get sleep. And so for that, a lot of them do take sleep supplements, sleeping pills, and you
Correct.
know the sleep is only till the time that the effect of the pills last, and again then the whole cycle of feeling the pain again, being frustrated again, difficulty going back to sleep once the effect of the pills go down.
Bond. So, sleep medication, and in India, sleep medication is abused heavily. Okay.
Hmm.
And when I use heavily, I mean a lot of people get hands on prescription sleep medication without a proper prescription.
Okay.
They possibly start taking these pills again and again, get habituated to these pills, and
Hmm.
use these medicines every single day for months and years together, not realizing that they're not meant to be used for such a long period of time until unless clinically advised. So,
Hmm.
such practices ruin your sleep at a longer stretch. And
Hmm.
what I firmly believe in is that medication should be used with a goal. So,
Hmm.
if most individuals would struggle with sleep for short intervals throughout their lifetime, okay, wherein
Hmm.
some of them may require medical intervention too, pharmacological intervention, where we are prescribing the medicines. But
Hmm.
what is the goal of these medicines? Most of the medication actually suppress the brain function to allow you to sleep. So essentially, if you've got a lot of thoughts going around in your
Hmm.
mind, which is, you know, what is keeping you
Hmm.
awake, because of which you cannot sleep, and you're taking medicines to sort of suppress those functions, it's not like those thoughts are going to go away, right? It's not like
Hmm.
those problems die away. So eventually the effect of the medicine is going to wear off, and then those thoughts are going to come back to you,
Hmm.
and then they're just going to pile up, and then you're possibly in a few weeks time or few months time going to require more medication in order to fix the whole lack
Hmm.
of sleep element because of those. So just by putting a cloth over a piece of pile or piece of garbage which you see, it doesn't make the garbage go away. So you need to
Hmm.
actually pick up the broom, clean it up, and that's how you're going to move forward with your life. So I really feel that in elderly, like you mentioned, abuse of medication is very, very common because it's thought
Hmm.
of as a quick fix. And that thought of treatment is also very primitive. Earlier, it used to be like, hey, you cannot sleep, take this medicine.
Hmm.
I mean, we don't look at that subject in the same manner anymore. Not all
Hmm.
sleep problems are can you sleep or you cannot sleep. Sleep is a
Hmm.
complex subject. There are more than 82 categories of sleep disorders, different
Okay.
kinds. You can
Hmm.
have some snoring in sleep, somebody sleeping a lot, somebody struggling to initiate sleep, somebody struggling to
Hmm.
maintain sleep, somebody waking up frequently during sleep, somebody walking in
Hmm.
sleep, somebody talking in, somebody twitching their muscles in sleep. Whole lot
Hmm.
of problems are there which are sleep related, and you cannot give the same treatment or same medication to one and all.
Definitely.
So one last point I'd like to add on the sleep issues in the elderly.
Hmm.
Struggle with sleep, they confined to their home. So what
Hmm.
happens is the social interaction reduces quite a bit, and the sense of purpose which is there in terms of
Hmm.
having a routine, going to office, to work, or doing your daily chores, when that tends to go away, there is no realization of what are day hours meant for and what are night hours meant for. And
Hmm.
similarly, there is no recognition of what am I doing in the bedroom? Am I here for sleeping or for reading or just for
Yeah.
relaxing or for watching TV? What am I there for? Most elderly
Hmm.
spend 18 hours, 20 hours confined to their bedrooms all day, and they
Yeah.
rarely move out, rarely walk, rarely interact with people. And then the mind starts to lose the connect and the association which you have with your
Hmm.
sleeping environment, and it
Hmm.
starts to lose the sense of time
Hmm.
that these many hours are meant for sleeping, and which is actually the main reason why elderly struggle to sleep, because they don't give them the right environment to sleep in, neither do
Hmm.
they feel that it's important for them to engage in a set of activities during the time that they're awake,
Hmm.
which would actually physically mentally tire them out in order for their body to demand that sleep.
Hmm.
So but if you're not using your mind actively, if you're not working
Hmm.
yourself at all, you're just relaxing most of the day, or your body also goes down significantly.
Yeah.
People want to sleep 7 8 hours without actually putting in those same hours at work or doing
Hmm.
physical or mental activity which they were doing 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Hmm.
So that understanding is also missing in a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean I totally resonate with that, and I could literally, it was like a checklist going on in my mind that I see with my grandfather also. So it's the same thing for him because now he's bedridden because of his other ailments. The fact that he actually sometimes asks the time and whether it's 8 in the morning, 8 in the morning or 8 in the night. So that sense of time
Correct.
going away. Yes, and like you said, like when you're constantly on the bed, and that's something I saw a lot of people going through in the pandemic as well, because you're in just one place on the same bed, you're working, eating, and sleeping. So, like you said, it's difficult for the mind to know that, okay, now is my time to sleep, or I'm coming to rest on the bed now. So, yes, that definitely does play a huge role. People suffer from sleep disturbances vicariously because of the environmental factors or when they're caregiving for someone else. That is also
Yeah.
sometimes when they can develop a sleep disturbance or disorder.
So let me throw some examples at you, like sleep apnea, if you've heard of that, which
Hmm.
is basically uh, somebody who snores very heavily and their
Hmm.
breathing gets obstructed at night while sleeping. So a sleep apnea individual would find it very easy to fall asleep, will
Hmm.
sleep for 7, 8 hours, maybe longer every day, but still
Hmm.
be tired and sleep in the daytime. Okay.
Hmm.
So this individual has a definite sleep disorder, which
Hmm.
is physiological in nature, which is easily correctable. But
Hmm.
in most cases, sleep apnea patients never come to us. It's actually
Hmm.
the spouses of the sleep apnea patients who come to us,
Okay.
because they've now started getting sleep disorders because of the loud snoring of their bed
Hmm.
partner, and the constant shifting and turning and the gasping
Hmm.
and the breathing obstructions and the mouth getting drier,
Hmm.
go frequent visit to the washroom, their sleep is getting disturbed. So
Hmm.
it's actually the bed partner who himself or herself did not particularly have any genetic or physiological reason for having a sleep disorder per se, purely
Yeah.
based on the sleep habits of the bed partner, actually start developing sleep issues themselves.
Hmm.
And even for example, if you look at young parents, okay, if you've had a
Hmm.
newborn baby, for
Yeah.
parents, the first year, it is so difficult because you're caring for a child, and the sleep routine of the child is obviously not like that of adults,
Hmm.
and their sleep requirements are much more and much different to adults. So simply trying to cope up with that,
Hmm.
young parents struggle during the first year, sometimes even 2 years, in order
Hmm.
to get back to their routine or get back to their. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's the onus of having poor sleep is not on you. Sometimes it's factors around you which uh, can hamper your sleep too.
Yeah. And I'm also curious to understand from you that sometimes it's not just like because of the vicariously how you're developing a disturbance in your sleep, but also other environmental factors. For example, I remember talking to someone who, while COVID, used to find it so difficult to sleep because they were living near a hospital. So the constant sounds of the ambulances going around and that kind of bringing the
Correct.
concern or the awareness that okay, there's more COVID patients coming in. There's so many people who are really suffering right now. It just sometimes gets you into that whole stress again when you have these disturbances around,
Absolutely.
makes you feel very guilty and brings you in that stress mode again.
So, I mean, not just that, if you even look at the positive episodes which occur every day, wedding
Hmm.
functions, if you look at
Yeah.
celebrations, which maybe they're in your household or in your neighbor's household,
Hmm.
right? Or even
Hmm.
religious events per se. People play loud music until late hours, are
Yeah.
celebrating, and somebody near you might be trying to catch up with their sleep at that time. So
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. I mean, all those stimuli, positive or
Hmm.
negative, can sort of run through your mind and can hamper your sleep too. But I mean, there are a few fundamentals which
Hmm.
remain very simple, very easy to do, which I think work across all settings. And
Hmm.
once we start to understand those, for example, if like you're saying noise or sound, if
Hmm.
that is something bothering you, so how do you counter that, right? So
Hmm.
very recently, there was a religious event which was being hosted in the society I live in, right?
Hmm.
And somehow they managed to get permission to play
Hmm.
uh, holy music all throughout the night, loud music all
Hmm.
throughout the night. And um, I mean, I was struggling to sleep during that time. And then I
Hmm.
got up and I started playing pink noise on,
Hmm.
at a very high volume through my
Hmm.
speakers. And it took me about 10, 15 minutes, but I
Hmm.
slept with that all throughout the night. So
Hmm.
that was the counter to the stimuli which was coming. So people can use white noise, pink noise, brown noise, and I mean those sounds are easily available on YouTube,
Hmm.
Spotify, or whichever app you're using. And essentially,
Hmm.
what are these? These are nothing but sounds of nature, right? These
Hmm.
are these are sounds which are trying to suppress. Like for example, in olden times we were what? We were cavemen, right? We were sleeping on
Hmm.
not in house built of bricks and mortar. We were sleeping in
Hmm.
caves, and all
Yeah.
we could hear was the sound of the ocean, sounds of the wind rustling the leaves. So,
Hmm.
uh, or maybe water flowing in the stream. And such
Hmm.
sounds, I mean, inherently as humans, help us feel a lot more calmer, a lot more
Hmm.
relaxed. And when we are relaxed, when we are calm, our hormones, especially our stress hormones, get suppressed, which help us to initiate sleep as well. So, sounds have a very strong impact with our sleep. And some people, in fact, are so akin to listening to these sounds that you may be listening
Hmm.
to a hymn or some music before going to
Hmm.
sleep, or listening to any of these sounds which I mentioned. But especially on those days or nights where loud music is being
Hmm.
played around you, this is something you can do or practice, which really
Hmm.
counters the effect of the music coming from outdoors.
And from my personal experience, there was a time I remember when, because when I was really ill in the night and I couldn't get sleep, that became a concern for me because I couldn't get sleep 2 nights in a row, and that I did start to feel stressed because I was not getting enough sleep. I said, no, my health will deteriorate even more because the sleep is not there. And when I switched on a very soft music on YouTube, it did help me get that restful sleep and at least feel better enough to then see that, okay, maybe I should consult someone. At that time, I was also in therapy. So, going to therapy, discussing about it, really did help me. And because I could sleep restfully with that, no, with that music, also helped me think and come up with those kind of solutions for myself as to who I can reach to, what I can do. And that's really interesting how you spoke about white noise and pink noise. Could you like this to use what kind of a sound?
So it's what you like. I mean, essentially, all of them, white,
Hmm.
pink, brown, all of them are slightly different in in the tone, in the way they are in terms of, let's say, one would be purely like nature sounds, the other would
Hmm.
be like a buzzing sound. So you may actually find one particular noise very distracting or very
Hmm.
irritable as well, while
Hmm.
the other relaxes. So
Hmm.
it's a hit and miss. It's not one fit for all, and it's really
Hmm.
something which one should give a try. So, and it's again, like the more you try, the more you recognize, okay, what is
Hmm.
the kind of sound I am comfortable with, because the
Hmm.
wavelengths are different. How you react to them, it's different. So,
Hmm.
in such a scenario, maybe you like it, maybe your bed partner doesn't like it. So
Hmm.
it's something which you need to figure for yourself. I wouldn't say
Hmm.
that everybody start playing this sound every night and go to sleep.
Hmm.
I mean, there is no sense to that either.
Yeah.
So but especially if there is a lot of sound outside, or on
Hmm.
days or all on nights when you're struggling to fall asleep,
Hmm.
give it a try. Play some
Hmm.
music for a little while, for 5-10 minutes. Focus on your
Hmm.
breathing during that time. If you are
Hmm.
feeling a sense of relaxation while listening to those sounds, that is a sign that, okay, this is going to help me sleep better. But if the sound is irritating you, or if it
Hmm.
is, you know, making you agitated or twist around or move
Hmm.
around in bed, so possibly you need to try something else.
Yeah. And could you also shed light on a little bit of other sleep regimes or sleep hygienes that people can probably look into, can try for themselves?
Yeah, so I mean the biggest suggestion which I always give, it's possibly the toughest for people to follow, is that do not get into your bed until unless you want to sleep.
Hmm.
So a lot of people have the habit of having televisions in their bedroom. A lot of
Hmm.
people watch content while lying down in bed. Some
Hmm.
people even have habits of eating on their bed. Some people
Hmm.
even enjoy, getting their laptops on bed and working
Hmm.
while maybe an hour or half an hour
Hmm.
prior to their bedtime. So I would say that firstly, that is a strict no-no. So the biggest
Okay.
advice I have in terms of hygiene is that create a sleep sanctuary, which means
Hmm.
a space you have dedicated for sleeping.
Okay.
And your mind's association with that space needs to be very
Hmm.
strong. What I mean by that is that the moment I am physically putting myself in that space, my
Hmm.
mind thinks that this person wants to sleep. And that
Hmm.
will only happen if that's all I'm asking my mind to do in that space.
Hmm.
If I am working there, if I am eating there, if I'm watching TV there, then my mind gets confused. It starts to think
Hmm.
that, okay, this person's come here. Maybe this person wants to watch television right now. Maybe
Hmm.
they want to read a book right now. Maybe they want to grab a bite in some time. So
Hmm.
you have to train your mind or teach your mind to dissociate from all of these activities in that particular
Hmm.
area. Now, once you do that, the moment you get into bed, your mind starts to put you into a state of sleep and it's
Hmm.
easier for you to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Besides that, few things which I can suggest is have like a routine or a ritual. Like I notice a lot of women tend to sort of wash their face and hydrate their skin
Hmm.
using toners or cleansers just before
Hmm.
their bedtime. uh, Maybe a lot of men don't do that, but it's a good habit to engage in your oral
Hmm.
hygiene or changing into your nightwear, or
Hmm.
maybe some skincare routine, maybe listening to some music, maybe
Hmm.
writing a journal, putting your penning your
Hmm.
thoughts down. So, three, four things which you do every single day, every single night,
Hmm.
just before you get into.
Hmm.
So, a bad habit would be that, okay, you're watching television and you switch off the television with your remote and you simply put your quilt on and you say, okay, I want to sleep now.
Hmm.
Your mind doesn't work like it
Hmm.
needs to recognize a pattern. It needs to feel that, okay, this person was watching television or eating dinner or maybe just went
Hmm.
out for a stroll or particular activity. Now this person has changed into his or her nightwear. This person has taken care of their oral hygiene, done a skincare routine, turned off the lights, snuggled
Hmm.
into bed, and is lying down here. And
Hmm.
this person does this every single day, just around the sleep time.
Hmm.
So this helps your mind to recognize that, okay, these are the set of activities which you're doing preceding your sleep. And
Hmm.
hence, again, this reinforces the whole element of that sleep sanctuary and helps you sleep better. So
Yeah.
these two things are very, very crucial, I would say.
Yeah. But I think the one that you said about the sleep sanctuary, I think that is something that most people find it very difficult to build and also sustain because, again, like you said, I have seen so many people just struggling with that, and sometimes even when you build a habit to sustain sleep hygiene, is something that people find it really difficult to do.
But I strongly feel that's the most important element. You see
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff online, people taking melatonin supplements, people saying
Hmm.
that, okay, there was a fad about weighted blankets in the for a short space
Hmm.
of time. Okay, then people use aromas, mists,
Hmm.
sprays, for all of these things as well.
Hmm.
So people started wearing blue light filter glasses
Hmm.
all throughout, right? So many. I'm not saying all of these things are bad, or
Hmm.
none of these things have an impact, but from personal experience, these have a very small value associated with your initiation of sleep.
Hmm.
If your association with your space of sleeping is strong and
Hmm.
your timing of sleep is fine, which means that you sleep at a desired time every single day, then
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter if you were wearing blue light filter glasses in the evening or not. Doesn't really matter if you sprayed a couple of mist on your bedding just before entering
Hmm.
into bed. Those things, if you're doing, great, wonderful, they'll always help.
Hmm.
But it's really, really important to build the aspect of your designated sleep space, because
Hmm.
you may not struggle with it now, but
Hmm.
let's say your work is getting complex. You're into a habit of, let's say, working on your laptop and replying to emails or,
Hmm.
work calls or whatever. There may be stressful days where there is a lot of work pressure. On
Hmm.
those days, you will start thinking about your work a little longer beyond the time you've switched off your laptop. And
Hmm.
that will have a residual effect on your sleep for days after even the work stress is gone away. And
Hmm.
it's only because the mind did not have a switch of differentiating, okay, this guy has stopped working, now is wanting to
Hmm.
sleep. So that's where the sleep sanctuary element is extremely, extremely crucial.
Yeah, definitely. And but you need to see a sleep consultant or really consult for your sleep as such.
Yeah. So, simply put, how do I know if I get the question correctly, how do I know if I'm sleeping fine or not? Right. So
Yeah.
the biggest true measure of whether you're sleeping well enough is after waking up in the morning,
Hmm.
do you feel tired or fatigued or exhausted
Hmm.
physically or mentally throughout the day or not?
Hmm.
If you wake up fresh, if you wake up energetic, and you're able to power through your entire day
Hmm.
without feeling physically tired or exhausted, and if you're able to maintain a consistent sleep time, which is sleep
Hmm.
at your desired bedtime and wake up at your desired wake up time,
Hmm.
then great, everything is okay. But if you are feeling lethargic, if you're feeling fatigued despite of
Hmm.
getting good sleep, or if you're obviously, if you're getting fragmented sleep or getting
Hmm.
less sleep, then you will feel fatigued or tired. And this is something which is not related to your social activity or not related to a short period of stresses which you feel
Hmm.
you'll be able to overcome, and it is getting carried on to a stage where no matter what changes you're trying to bring it, you're not able to
Hmm.
fix that. That's the time when you start to seek help.
Hmm.
And the other side of the story is, if you are getting good sleep, which is you can comfortably sleep for 6 8 hours, but
Hmm.
despite doing that, you have the desire or your body keeps demanding more sleep from you,
Hmm.
which is if you are traveling as a passenger in a car, or even
Hmm.
sometimes driving, if you're dozing off, if you're knocking off,
Hmm.
or if you're in a meeting or a conference, you're probably disengaging and just your mind
Hmm.
is wavering, you're yawning. And this is despite you having slept for a good 6 8 hours,
Hmm.
which means that quality of sleep you got in the preceding night was not sufficient for you to keep yourself attentive and energetic throughout the day.
Hmm.
Then you need to seek help.
Hmm.
So those are signs where maybe your sleep quality is not good enough, and you speak to a sleep coach or a somnologist, and determine what possibly can be done to help.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more to explore and to talk about in this regard, but I think we'll end this video for now, given the scope of time. But it was so interesting talking to you and getting to know a lot of this stuff. I could relate to so much. I could immediately think of these conversations that I've had with people, people that I've spoken to. Some of it I have experienced it myself, and definitely, like you said, making that sleep, that sleep differentiation between my sleep place and my workplace was something that really worked for me. And for our audience, if you have any other questions for Aprameya, for me, any other topics you want us to bring in here, definitely do let us know in the comments below. Let us know your experience with your sleep hygiene and the stress and how you are dealing with that. We would love to hear that from you as well.